This is a Disaster Central special report. My name is David Vella reporting in from Houston, Texas, our local headquarters. We just want to bring you a quick special report. A massive magnitude 7.1 earthquake has struck the southern part of Tibet, or really part of China, approximately just 15 minutes ago. The USGS has it as a magnitude 7.1. Global Quake has it as a 7.0. Catastrophic shaking is likely, if not, has likely occurred, if not violent shaking occurred. We do not have any news on casualties. We'll bring you more information when it becomes available. We will be right back to bring you. We'll be right back to bring you coverage on this. Stand by. We do want to provide a quick update for you, as the USGS has come out with their pagers. The USGS is now expecting a yellow pager when it comes to casualties, meaning that they are expecting at least 10 to 100 fatalities from this earthquake. They're also expecting 100 million to potentially $1 billion in damages. Significant damages. They say, quote, significant damage is likely, and the disaster is potentially widespread. Estimated economic losses are less than 1% of the GDP of China. Past events with this earthquake level have required regional or national level response. They say that a yellow alert for shaking fatalities, casualties are possible. Sorry. We'll keep you updated when more becomes available. For now, stay tuned to all sources. Stay tuned to us for more coverage. We'll be right back with more. We want to come on providing some updates for you as we speak, and we're going to be doing this kind of trend where we come on the air, or I come on the air every time we get news stories, because right now we're pretty hampered up with other things that are going on. Just want to quickly provide you some updates. The center, the USGS. And we've gotten some videos as well, but there was a earthquake. The earthquake itself has caused liquidation of multiple uh, we've gotten multiple videos, amateur videos of solo uh, of just liquefaction. If you don't know what that means, liquefaction is when all the liquids, or really water, slushes around the concrete rock, and this is due to the shaking, which causes pretty much the ground to like cave in on itself and causes significant catastrophic damage. We've gotten videos of that so far in the town of Tigray. We have also gotten reports of we'll be joined by soon, but we've also gotten reports of we have another earthquake going on, preliminary magnitude 4.7, Western Xianjing. You won't be able to see it here. This is around 0.2 kilometers deep. This occurred around 7:37 p.m. This is a new event. They're revising the earthquake. 4.7 preliminary. Again, 6 stations have detected it. More likely than not, this is an aftershock. We have to understand, and you have to understand that there's always a possibility in the first 48 hours that we do see a bigger earthquake than the 7.0. These are called foreshock events, and they have a pretty well-known history of happening. This is a Disaster Central special report. My name is David Vela, reporting in from Houston, Texas. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, send them in the chat. We have 26 people watching as we speak. Live coverage will continue, whether this is through automation or through through breaks of full breakthroughs, break-ins, when we have to break in with commentary. Until I've been told otherwise, we will continue to do automated with the background playing. This is continuing to be a special report. We have gotten multiple reports of shaking. Repeating, we have gotten multiple reports of shaking. We've also gotten reports of some fatalities already. We cannot confirm anything so far. We do know that at least 52,000 people were affected, and it was in the town of Tigray, which was the closest. They saw MMI 10, which means that catastrophic shaking was likely. So, you're just continuing to report on the news. More news will be provided whenever possible. So stay tuned here at Disaster Central for more updates. Until then, we are expected to be joined by someone shortly who is very familiar with earthquakes around this area. We're going to give her a few more minutes. But for now, you'll be here with me, reporting at our HQ in Houston, Texas, continuing to report on everything we can. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, send them in the YouTube chat. We will continue to report them, and we will continue to answer them for you. We want to provide you an update on what is going on with the aftershock that has happened. Preliminary magnitude 4.7, 0 kilometers deep, so this happened on the land, which is really bad because this means that the earthquake was very shallow, meaning that shaking could be even more violent. And again, providing an update for you. This happened at around 7:37 p.m. Central Daylight Time, so approximately 6 minutes ago, around there. And there we go. I think we have our final revision. This is revision number 5. Intensity 6 likely. Intensity 6 shaking likely, meaning that this is moderate shaking that is likely. Quality B, 25 stations have reported it. So this is very worrying times. We are keeping an eye on our team that is working behind the scenes to give us information, to give me information, and potentially being able to spread this to you. So this is the 6th day of the year, 2025. We have started off with multiple 6s. We've also started off with the first 7 of the year. Of course, this is in a very remote area. Technically, this is in a very remote area. You can see here, and let's see if I can do y'all a favor, giving y'all something to look at. Hold on, stand by with me. I am trying to get you a report. Oh, what was that? Oh, apologies. We have a very strict bot, so I completely apologize for that. But here we are looking at the seismographs in Xianjing. You can see a major earthquake has just happened. Major aftershock has happened there. We are monitoring the situation as it continues. We are continuing. I'm continuing to see footage. We have gotten an updated estimate. This is what the USGS predicts: an 8% chance of 1 fatality or lower. They have calculated that there's a 28% chance of 1 to 10 fatalities, a 39% chance, which is highlighted in black, meaning this is the greatest, most likely scenario, that we see 10 to 100 fatalities. On here, who joined. This is welcome to the team, Lily. Lily is one of our experts when it comes to earthquakes. She is connecting, so it will take a bit. Apart from that, continuing on with that until she joins back with her internet, we want to continue to provide updates. We have gotten a preliminary magnitude again. This is all preliminary, so it will be a bit. But there we go. We have a new earthquake. This is Leeward Islands. Okay. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, send them in the chat. We have, I think, if someone can check, someone in the team can check, because they are watching. If someone can check, I think we are the first people to be live, because we have gone live about 15 minutes into the earthquake so far, I think. We're continuing to provide coverage as we speak, looking at the seismograph, and we're going to make it easier for you guys to understand what you're looking at. So if you're looking at the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a seismograph. So pretty much what you're looking at is a bunch of lines that a blue line, a yellow line, and then an average ratio. Now, ignore the average ratio. You want to look at the raw data and the bandpass. So pretty much what it means is every time you see something like this, where you see you can see my mouse, but when you see this, or you see the lines go up and down and they're closely connected together, it means that there's been a major earthquake that's happened. And then if you see something like this where it's a straight line but is going up and down, then that's normal earthquake frequencies. So uh, pretty much we'll let you know when there's an aftershock that happens, but you'll be able to tell when there's an aftershock that's ongoing. In the red, you can see here on our red dot. Oops, sorry. On our red dot here, this is the seismograph we're taking out of. This is from, I think, Nepal, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, correct. This is Nepal. Taking it out of Nepal here, and then yeah, so we're taking it out of Nepal. After that, the stations we want to rely on will be in, I think this is Thailand. I could be mistaken. I apologize. And then Sri Lanka. Until then, we have gone a YouTube person chat who has said that they felt it in. Two people have said that they felt it in one in the capital, and the other one not sure where. Uh, but I assume that's in Nepal. And this is going to be the general moral of the story. You're going to start seeing this trend where pretty much the people you're gonna start getting these reports, and there we go. We're having another earthquake there, and I want to let you know that you are about to feel this earthquake because you can see this massive dot, uh, massive little burst here of blue, little there, and you can see the dots turning red. So pretty much what that means is that when the dots go red, and you see this yellow line, yellow box here, and you see this number, it means how violent compared to normal it's shaking. So how much energy is being released when it's shaking. Um, Apart from that, there's just been an earthquake, probably. There's just been an aftershock. There we go. You can see it download. Well, you can see the updated ticker. You can see there's just been an aftershock, very small, probably a 3. Um, and actually trying to see if I can pull it up here. But there we go. I've just gotten the notification for it. There is a preliminary 4.7 South Xiangjing, China. This is revision number 3, around 10 kilometers deep. Intensities 4 have been felt. Likely going to be updated now 3, which means intensity 3 being felt. Now intensity MMI 5, which means that moderate to light shaking is ongoing. Now, we have gone reports, and I'm looking at videos right now as we speak, but there are videos of the ground pretty much collapsing on itself, and this is normally what you're going to see. This is what you're going to see in particular when you live in a mountainous region. You're going to start seeing the biggest threat, especially now after the earthquake, the biggest threat you'll see is landslides. So please be on the lookout of that. So please be on the lookout for that. Continuing to monitor the situation, we have a team of multiple members behind the scenes, working behind the scenes, providing me information and feeds. Continuing to provide that. Seeing if we can produce anything. We have a very big team, a massive amount of people, or people behind the scenes working with us. I think we've just been joined by Lily, if she is there. Hello. Yeah. So Lily is one of our, I would say, regarded experts when it comes to these type of earthquakes. So if you do have any new information for us, go ahead. Let me just quickly. There we go.
I don't know what has been said so far, so I'll just give a brief overview of this earthquake.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
this earthquake is centered hold up, let me I this earthquake is centered in Xizang, China. It's in the Tibet region. And this is an area with very poor infrastructure. Fortunately, it's not very heavily populated, so I don't think we're going to see a catastrophe. but the people who do live there are probably not going through the best time right now, just because the infrastructure designed against earthquakes is not very good. It's in a very mountainous region. This earthquake has presumably very high intensity of at least 8 or 9, if not higher. And so the chances that a landslide has happened because of this earthquake is very high right now. Um, so far, the USGS has put out a yellow pager for casualties, estimating the amount of casualties will be between 10 and 100 people, which is a pretty fair assessment given the intensity, but also the ruralness of this earthquake. It has been felt over a very wide area in India, Nepal, and China. And the potential of an avalanche, like what we saw in 2015 with the Nepal earthquake, is also pretty decent. Um, but also, what makes this earthquake unique in my mind is that it is a normal faulting earthquake. The area between Nepal and China, it's a very active margin. It's a convergent boundary. So normally we would be seeing thrust earthquakes, which is when part of the fault flicks upwards or lifts upwards. A normal faulting earthquake, we see both a bit of upward motion and also some downward motion on either side of the fault. And that's something that we generally don't really see in this region. It's normally thrust faults in the Tibet region, maybe a bit of strike slip, but normal is not really that common, just because it's near a convergent plate boundary. Um, uh, I forgot what else I was gonna say. Oh, it's
Yeah,
very shallow,
I just want
the
to
epicenter.
quickly say, if you're looking at our bottom right hand screen, or really if you're looking at our main screen, you're going to be able to tell that there is an aftershock that is ongoing. You can see it by the yellow square around the seismo station there. It's red, indicating that we're probably seeing a bit of jolt in energy. We have already reported on 2 aftershocks, both preliminary estimates on global quick is 4.7. Uh, Now the question for you, Lily, uh, and this is going to be a very obvious question, especially for people that are living within the region. It looks like this is a pretty moderate sized aftershock. I'm looking at the station there. It's a pretty decent sized aftershock. I would say probably a 4.8, 4.9, maybe 5. But
Mm-hmm.
Lily, the question for you will be, um, and this is going to be a question. This is going to be a theme we're going to see with this. What is there a possibility? Well, obviously, will there be more earthquakes, or is there a possibility we see a bigger one?
Um, so I haven't seen a lot of information on this fault line or this fault potential fault system that has generated this earthquake. I don't know how long it is. I don't know how much has ruptured. I'm assuming that it's been pretty underappreciated and understudied as so uh, because a lot of people I know who are also interested in studying earthquakes don't know the fault line this is on or the fault system that this was on. So is there potential for a bigger earthquake? Yes, but that's kind of the thing with like most earthquakes like this, where you don't really know how big the fault system is. We saw that with the Noto earthquake. We didn't, when Noto happened, we didn't know there was a fault system like that that could generate a 7.5. And there was a lot of warnings of a potentially another 7 plus near Sado, or some dangerous aftershocks, or maybe even a bigger earthquake on a different flying thrust segment or unmapped thrust segment in Noto. It's kind of similar here, except even more pronounced because this region is kind of um understudied, especially on the normal fault aspect. Like I didn't even know there was a normal fault in Tibet like this until this earthquake. And it's pretty much a given in an active area like this that there could be a normal fault, but I just didn't know for sure. As far as aftershocks go, I think the biggest threat is landslides. Um, I think any buildings that would have collapsed did already collapse, and I don't think an aftershock is going to bring anything more down. But the potential that already weakened land could slump because of an aftershock is still a potential that people there who, albeit unlikely, are watching the stream do need to keep in mind.
Well, we have already gotten report. We've already gotten chatters or viewers watching in saying that they have seen or they have felt the earthquakes in Nepal. I do want to quickly
Mhm.
point out China has a rich history of earthquakes. The
Yeah,
deadliest disaster in the world, well, the deadliest earthquake in the world
was
came
in
from
China.
China. So,
The 1976. Well, it depends on the estimates because Shanxi is generally regarded as the deadliest, but that's given indirect fatalities, whereas you use direct fatalities, it would be 1976 Tangshan.
in fact, I would some of the most infamous and like some of the top 10 deadliest earthquakes in the world have happened in China. I think there was
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 that have happened in China.
Yeah, Shanxi, Tangshan. I know the 2008 Wenchuan is up there. Because that left over 100,000 people dead or missing, because most figures put the death toll at around 87,000, but there's still around 19 to 20,000 people still missing from that earthquake.
We're gonna be taking your questions. If you do have any questions, we're gonna probably be pushing this live for maybe an hour, just depending on if there's any more on the situation. And we are getting another decent sized earthquake. It looks like there's
Yeah,
that green station there. Um,
good. Um, I think what we need to keep into account is that the infrastructure here is definitely not the best. So even shaking that may not cause as much damage in another place like here where I live in California, especially given how mountainous it is and the possibility for land failure, there is definitely the possibility that there have been some complete collapses or destroyed buildings in this. And as USGS has stated, there's a likelihood that the death toll will be between 10 and 100 because of this poor infrastructure, even though the region is so sparsely populated where the epicenter and rupture of this earthquake was.
yeah. Folks, I really want to quickly, again, I just want to go for a brief overview. Around, I would say, a good 40 minutes ago ish, a good 40 minutes ago, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the Tibet region or Xinjiang region in China, uh, causing a causing multiple aftershocks. Of course, we don't have any word on fatalities that have been confirmed. At least we have gotten felt reports, at least in this chat, from Nepal. We possibly do know that a lot of we know that there's been a wide area in India that did feel MMI4. We also
Potentially.
go ahead
Potentially.
potentially felt
Um,
MMI4. We've
it's hard
There's
to
also
say.
been some reports, and these are questionable because I can't confirm nor deny anything at this point. We've also gotten some reports through social media that it may have been felt in Bangladesh potentially. Um,
Well, Bangladesh is extremely, a lot of Bangladesh is extremely soft river deposited sediments, which amplifies seismic waves. So it is possible that those soft sediments combined with some, uh, like the soil amplification from those soft sediments, combined with possibly resonance, could have made the earthquake feelable in Bangladesh. But also, earthquakes here are felt over a wide region. The 7.5 in 2015 in Nepal was felt in Bangladesh, and there's footage showing visible shaking from that earthquake.
we've just gotten a report from senior K series reporting that the aftershocks are strong, and this is going to be pretty normal. Um,
Mhm.
this is going to be the idea. We will see strong aftershocks probably. I mean, I'm still waiting on a 5 to happen. We probably have already seen it with the 2 4.7s, at least according to Global Quake. But yeah, I think we've just seen 3 straight aftershocks within a good
Hmm.
minute. So, um, at least what I can see on the seismograph.
Um, I do want to say that being such a shallow normal faulting earthquake, it is one of the largest normal faulting crustal earthquakes in recent history. Sorry, this was sent to me, so I'm reading it, but it is one of the largest crustal normal faulting earthquakes in recent history. Um, which is both rather impressive and also kind of concerning for the few people who do live close to the rupture. But also rather interesting from a geographic uh, perspective. Any chance for a tsunami? No, the rupture is not anywhere close to the ocean. Not even close enough to trigger an underwater landslide, that is. I think the biggest fear we're thinking is for right now, more aftershocks causing additional damage or landslides. And also just the state of the towns and the people who are close to the rupture, as they're very rural, communications, I assume, are down. Um, and so we just don't know the state of the places in China closest to the rupture.
I really wish we could get some. Hopefully, Global Quake will probably invest into this in the future, but hopefully, we can get some more stations around here. Um, really, in a
Yeah.
lot of places because
Well, I just don't.
there's
Yeah.
really in a lot of
The
places.
thing is with China is they're not very open with their seismic system, and they're not very open with their seismic system, and I don't know how willing they are to share it, and I don't know how many places are in that region because of how rural it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, quick recap because we're getting a few more people joining in. Approximately 30 to 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago now at this point, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake has struck the Xianjing, Tibet region of China. The earthquake has been felt in Nepal and India, possibly, and possibly in Bangladesh as well. There is no threat for tsunami. There is no threat for an underwater landslide. There is a massive threat, potentially, of avalanches and landslides. Now, we don't have any word on fatalities. The USGS has estimated that there is at least, from what we know, they're estimating at least, or at least potentially 10 to 100 fatalities. They're also predicting at least 100 to $1 billion, 100 million to $1 billion worth of damages. That's all we can say right now.
mhm.
I'm joined by here, myself, obviously, in Houston, also joined by Granophonics in Sweden, who is working behind the scenes, I assume, sharing the seismographs in those areas, and also joined by Lily in California, who is
Mhm.
at least here at least here in our team, one of the more knowledgeable persons when it comes to earthquakes like this. Um, there has
Hold up.
been.
I wanna.
Go ahead.
No, no, sorry, I'm talking or I'm thinking out loud.
We have um, there's been talk about liquefaction. Uh, Obviously, there's a pretty decent chance that we do get reports of liquefaction if they haven't already
Um,
happened. Um,
the, the sediment in Tibet, where the most intensive shaking is probably isn't super conducive to liquefaction, but there are lakes in that area, and the areas that were either former lake beds or lakeside areas probably could be conducive to liquefaction, but as far as a wide scale liquefaction event, probably not as much.
all right. There we go. Earthquake. Never mind. It's in California. Uh, If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, send us a message with start your message with Disaster Central, so then we can read it. Um,
Oh my god. Sorry, I'm just seeing footage right now. It's aftermath footage, but it's showing dust lingering over some Tibetan cities. I assume from all the rubble falling.
and
Um,
speaking
there's
of
clouds of
which,
dust
uh,
in the
the,
city.
the chat needs to well, people, if you're watching, uh, we're gonna I'm gonna tell this. Well, we're gonna say this. I'm gonna say it. China, especially in that area, does not have necessarily the best infrastructure in the world. Quite in
Mhm.
fact, it's probably one of the poorest infrastructures in China. Uh, so when you have a 7.1 shallow earthquake with
It,
multiple aftershocks, which, by the way, there's one happening right now as we speak. This is a recipe for not necessarily a catastrophe, but for a disaster to happen. Um,
it's going to be very bad for the areas close to the rupture. While they are few and far between, there are several towns that experienced very high intensities from this earthquake. And part of my fear is that they will not be reached within a very timely manner because they're very rural. It's kind of hard to get to. Ooh, aftershock. It's kind of hard to get to them. Um, and I assume that uh, communications in those small towns closest to the rupture are either non-existent or they've been knocked out by this earthquake. But it's kind of hard to tell just because with a Chinese earthquake, it's difficult to cover because the media there is very sensitive. Um, it's also a possibility that these towns might not be fully rebuilt, especially the smaller ones that are really close to the rupture. Um, so this isn't going to be a catastrophic Wenchuan type earthquake like 2008, but it's going to be very bad for those who are really close to the epicenter or the rupture.
sorry. Yeah, this is. I mean, there's no really other words to put this. Another problem with, again, part of the reason why I was hesitant on going live was because one of the biggest problems we're gonna get is uh, China has a tremendous history, a very rich history of underestimating and underreporting fatalities to make themselves not look as bad. The biggest problem for me is, and probably my biggest fear is that people can leave town, people can abandon some of these areas, which is probably what's going to happen. They did this in 2008. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
2008.
Beichuan Township is still in the exact same state it was in 2008, just overgrown now.
It has been completely abandoned. Um, they will probably do this here. My biggest worry is that, okay, um, you can leave and all that stuff. We need a good amount. We need good reporting. And living in a country or being in a country like in China, where the reports are not necessarily as objective and more subjective, um, it's really hard for us to verify fatalities. And sometimes for earthquakes like this, if there's like an 8, you could expect fatalities to not come, or to not be reported for at least weeks. Because again, this is also a really unpopulated area of China. And not only that, even though I think this is the most unpopulated area of China. Uh,
No,
Maybe
the
for the north, I think there's a north one. I think there's a
yeah,
northern one.
the Northwest has like a huge area without a single building in it because it's so uninhabitable. But that's besides the point. It's not densely populated at all.
Well, apart from that area, I think this is one of the lower populated areas. And even then, in this area, I think there's like 20 million people. I think.
Um, it could be. I'm not super I don't know the population statistics of Tibet. Hold up. Tibet
Because you have to
population.
understand, China has 1 billion people, so
Around 3.6 million people reside in the Tibet Autonomous Region in China. Um, but like obviously they're probably those 3.6 million people are probably more localized to certain cities and less spread out.
yeah. So to what I was saying, even then, there's 1 billion people, and a lot of them live on the eastern part of their coast, their eastern coastline. But even then, there's still areas to the west that are so heavily populated that's just unbelievable. Now, so the closest major city I think was Tigray.
Oh,
Uh,
here, let me check cities. Hold up. No, keep going. I'll just check while you keep
no,
talking.
yeah, I'm looking through. I'm just looking at. So I'm looking at the USGS shake map. Uh,
Oh yeah, Ingrid. Is that maybe where this city with rubble was?
there's fifty
Because
thousand people there. So
it wasn't a tiny village like
yeah,
um
there's
we
50,000
saw it.
people in there. It's one of the more populated areas.
Okay. Yeah, that could be where that video was from.
Which, if that's true, um, if that video, because I just saw it, if that video is from Tigray, there is 50,000 people living in China, or not in China, in Tigray. So, assuming that that video is from Tigray, we can take an educated guess and suggest that there's a very grim outlook when it comes to these type of earthquakes, and especially when you have poor infrastructure and the shaking can be felt wide and long, wide and
Hmm.
far. So there's going to be a very bad, there's a very grim outlook for these type of earthquakes. The USGS could probably be right. I'm not gonna say that I'm correct, but I'm gonna go at, I'm just gonna estimate that we're probably gonna see more than like 50.
Uh, given that is Tingre, if it's a smaller town closer to the rupture, then it could still be in the estimated. The thing is with these earthquakes, we just don't know. But also, I'm looking at the USGS shape map, and there does appear to be an area of local soil amplification or just local seismic amplification under the city. The shake map only says MMI 6, but USGS, USGS shake maps generally lowball it. For example, with the 1985 Mexico City earthquake, Mexico City experienced very extreme local amplification, causing up to MMI 9. I'm not saying Tingde got MMI 9, but it could be higher than 6, which is why we could potentially be seeing damage from that city. But the fact of the matter is, we just don't know. Um, Also, shaking was felt decently in Nepal. I don't think enough to cause significant damage. Maybe some damaged roofs, uh, roof tiles could have fallen, maybe some mild debris, but I don't think we're going to see like anything close to the 2015 earthquakes in Nepal, which is a good thing because the 2015 earthquakes were quite catastrophic. Um, I'm checking to see if there are other towns. It seems like all of the towns are along rivers, which could help explain the local soil amplification or local seismic amplification. Just because rivers generally carry and deposit soft sediment and waterlogged sediment and unconsolidated soils. And those wet sediments like to amplify seismic waves when shaking hits them. They cause it to be stronger than it normally would be.
Sorry, I'm
Seven.
just looking at some videos, and I just saw a video of I think it was a school or some sort of hotel, maybe a government building, because it had the Chinese flag in its like a hard Chinese flag metal thingy. There, it could be a government building, but there are like severe cracks in the walls, and one of the biggest problems with this is there those buildings that and again this earthquake has probably already weakened cores of buildings, and if those buildings haven't collapsed, it only takes an aftershock. It can only take a strong aftershock for those rest the building that has that weakened core to collapse. Um,
Yeah,
I think we saw that in I think it was 2011.
we saw that in 2023 in Turkey, Syria. I mean, very extreme example, but there's a town called Malatya. Um, Also someone in the chat is asking to show videos. I don't know if you can do
So
that.
I can't show videos for the sake that if I do show videos, I'm risking my channel getting removed through because of copyright, stupid copyright rules. So I'm gonna not show videos. Apologies for that. I really cannot risk getting this channel removed down because we did get a copyright claim from the I think it was Fiji earthquake or Vanuatu earthquake.
Uh, yeah, it could have been Vanuatu. I don't know. It happened on my birthday, my time, so I wasn't paying too much attention. Sorry. Uh,
Oh, it's fine. It's your birthday
but
anyway.
we
Like, what are you doing?
what?
It's your birthday anyway. Like, what are you doing on Discord? Chill out.
No, I like looked down on. I was at the restaurant and I looked down and I saw like 20 pings. But it was worth it. The Vanuatu earthquake was geologically insane. It was 50 kilometers deep, but the intensity was very high. MMI 9, I would argue up to MMI 10. Because it was a super fast rupture interslab earthquake. Um, but this, I mean, getting back to this earthquake, um, China does have a history of cutting corners with building codes, especially seismic proof codes. We saw that to very depressing and disturbing detail during the 2008 Wenchuan earthquake, where almost 100,000 people were left dead or missing. Um, with this earthquake, I doubt we're going to see a huge catastrophe, but it's not going to be good for those who are near the rupture. This includes the Tibetan city of Tingri, which appears to be the closest major township city to the rupture. I think it's also important to note that this is in the Himalayas, and the Himalayas, specifically Mount Everest, I don't know how close this earthquake is exactly to Mount Everest, has a history of damaging and deadly avalanches caused by earthquakes from this boundary. In 2015, there was an avalanche on Mount Everest, and I think it killed like 20, 25 people, somewhere around that.
I
And
think
so
it
the
killed
potential,
27 because there was some after it's like after the avalanche happened, there was a lot of survivors that just did not have any supplies because the avalanche just got rid of it. I think 3 people died
yeah,
as a result after the main after avalanche.
yeah. Um, and also, avalanches aren't the only concern. I would say that landslides are a very big concern for pretty much any mountainous region. It's probably the most dangerous geological effect in this earthquake. Um, Obviously, bad infrastructure and high intensities are rather concerning in this earthquake, especially in the more um, rural Tibetan areas. Um, with the Nepal earthquake in 2015, which also caused deaths in India and China, in Tibet. The Nepal earthquake very very uh, bad and devastating damage to very rural, underdeveloped villages in Nepal and Tibet. It caused very intense liquefaction, causing pipes to lift out of the ground. I remember seeing a farm where all of the crops had floated to the surface, because the farm had liquefied. It was but these towns were utterly devastated. There was not a building left, and they were very rural and hard to get to. Also another aftershock right now.
Yeah.
They were very rural and hard to get to, so we didn't know how badly hit they were. And when there was reconnaissance missions and rescue operations in Nepal after the 2015 earthquake, it it proved devastating in these rural villages that had pretty small populations, but a lot of the populations were wiped out or left homeless.
That's gonna go in a blooper. My father came in wishing me good night, and he didn't realize I had been doing live coverage for a bit. That's gonna get a hot mic clip. Hopefully, someone can clip that for me and send that to me. We're gonna take a quick break because I personally had been going through it for. I've been going through this for 53 minutes. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna be right back. Stay tuned with Disaster Central for more.
Yay.
Why had this been playing for a bit? Hold on. This is a Disaster Central special report. My name is David Vela, reporting in from Houston, Texas. I'm joined by my team here of Lily and Granophonics from Sweden. Lily's from California. How are we doing tonight? Right. So we are gonna probably push it up. We're gonna do our closing statements. I think we're gonna be doing our closing statements. We have done an hour of coverage. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more updates. We'll go live again if a situation is warranted. Until then, um, Until then, if you have any last-minute questions, comments, or concerns, send them in the chat. Our team will be here to answer them before we end the live event soon.
Mm-hmm.
But before we end this, let's just go ahead and give you a. I can hear the echoes.
I'm sorry. That was my phone. Sorry.
Before we do this, before we end the stream, let's just go ahead and give you a quick recap. At around 7:05 p.m. Central Daylight Time, or I think it's 6 a.m. there. I think it was 6 a.m. there. At around 6:05 a.m., I could be heavily mistaken, but around 6:05 a.m. Central Daylight Time, or whatever that time zone is, at 6:05 a.m. local time, a magnitude 7 to 7.1 earthquake struck western Xizang in Tibet, causing potentially
Yeah.
catastrophic damage. There has already been reports of damage in the area, collapsed buildings as well. So apart from that, we haven't gotten much news and information. We do know that there has been videos of damage. There's a huge avalanche risk and a huge landslide risk as well. The USGS estimates that there could be 10 to 100 fatalities, 100 million to $1 billion of damages.
I think.
Hello? Lily?
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the mic was
Sorry.
muffled for a bit, and now it's cleared up.
Yeah. No, my internet is not great.
Hold on. You take over. I'll be right back.
Hold up. Okay. So I don't know how understandable I am or how decipherable I am because my internet is not great right now. But we had a magnitude 7.1 in the Tibetan area. This is an area that is very active seismologically. There are a lot of earthquakes there. Just because it is near a convergent plate boundary. I believe it's the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate. Let me double check these. Either way, it's a convergent plate boundary, which means the plates are pushing against each other. This earthquake was not on that plate boundary, but it was near it. It was, which is what we call intraplate. Meaning it was in the plate. Not interplate, but intraplate. This earthquake is, as I said, a magnitude 7.1. USGS is estimating a density of Mercalli 7 or Mercalli 8 to 9, which in layman's terms is not good. Mercalli 8 is what we saw in that Taiwan earthquake last year, which killed around 18 people and collapsed several buildings, even though Taiwan does have earthquake-resistant infrastructure. And Mercalli 9, I can't think of a good example off the top of my head because there was only one Mercalli. Mercalli 9 is what we saw in Port Vila and Vanuatu last year, which collapsed buildings, even though Vanuatu also has some earthquake-resistant infrastructure.
Hey, you're lagging.
No. Hold up. Do you want me? I'll disconnect and come back real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna end it soon, so I don't know. Folks, is she did she disconnect? Yeah, okay. So she disconnected. So folks, we're gonna cut it soon.
Um,
Yeah. So, Nina, you're gonna have to understand that because we're doing this virtually, not everybody's gonna have good internet connection. Um, and I mean, I don't know.
is it better now?
Yeah, it's still lagging.
Oh
So
God.
I don't know. I don't know. So I mean, just understand that I'm hosting this call all the way in Texas. She's all the way in California. Connections are not going to be equal, so just understand that. Uh, and yeah, and also not just that, we're the only ones going live for this. So I mean, I don't know, not to sound entitled or anything, but like, have some patience, please. We are working. This is a chaotic operation. Um,
Um, by the way, I don't know if it's been said here, but there have been confirmed collapsed buildings in Tree City, which is a city of a few, what was it, 50,000? Yeah, 58,000 people. So it's likely a deadly earthquake. I don't think we're going to see zero casualties from this earthquake. USGS has estimated 10 to 100. But it could, which is pretty likely given the rural nature of the earthquake. But that's a new update that there are confirmed building collapses in Tingri.
all right. With that, we're gonna end up closing soon. Lily, any last words you want to say?
Um, a pretty unique quake. It kind of came out of nowhere, at least for me, just because it was both normal faulting and interplate in Tibet. Which Tibet is pretty active, but normal faulting there is not very common. This earthquake is probably very difficult for those who are currently experiencing it. So, I guess keep them in your thoughts. And if you live in an earthquake-prone region, don't be paranoid, but be prepared.
All right, and from here, thank you, Lily. And here in Houston, I just want to say that just stay safe. We'll be live. We'll have to go if we have to go live again. We'll go live. Um, Stay tuned for more. Till then, have a safe night or day. We'll see you soon. Good night.